Excuse me, take off my extra glasses. Well, welcome to another week of class in critical thinking where we are learning about the language aspects of critical thinking. But just some quick logistics. If you had any questions from last Friday's quiz, feel free to ask during the Zoom session. And if you have any issues you want to ask me about one-on-one after class, then feel free to do that. So, um, okay, so last time we talked about the word vague. And a word is vague is just when it's imprecise or unclear, and that's as opposed to ambiguity when there can be more than one precise meaning, like the word bank, river bank, or money bank. With a word like vague, that's vague, like Fred is a Republican, that was my main example. An example that came up during a Zoom session is, let's say, the Trumpian slogan, Make America Great Again. The word great in that sentence is not really that clear. Like, what do we mean by great? And what do we mean by again? It's not really that clear. And this also applies, let's say, during the Obama campaign. I think you guys are old enough to remember. Change was the big thing for Obama. And now, what do we exactly mean by change, right? These words are kind of vague. So watch for politicians doing this and think to yourself, okay, what precisely could they mean? So that's vagueness. Now we're going to talk about something more specific, philosophical vagueness. So a word is philosophically vague a word is philosophically vague if it does not clearly apply in a borderline case. Okay, a word is philosophically vague if it does not clearly apply in a borderline case. So what's being talked about here? Well, take the word bald. Okay. Now this word, here's me when I was a young strapping lad as a teenager. Okay, that's me. Now here's me in my lower 20s. Here's me in my 30s. Okay, still got a decent amount of hair. Here's what's gonna happen to me in my 40s though. Okay. Then here's me in my 50s. And here's when I'm 60. And then here's me when I'm 70. Okay, now something's happened where I become bald. Now, this might actually have, I do feel like I'm thinning a little bit, but anyway, the question is now at what age did I become bald? Or like at which strand of hair did I actually start counting as bald? And it's really hard to say where to draw the line, okay? And that's what makes the word philosophically vague, the word bald, because it does not clearly apply in a borderline case. There's some borderline cases where it's really not easy to tell when I become bald. So what I'm referring to here is I'm drawing from page 35. They use an example, when does a town become a city? Not really clear. Yes, there's borderline cases where it's not clear whether it's a town or a city. When does someone start counting as tall, or as thin, or fat, or sleepy? Right? These are all terms where it's not clear when actually someone has gone past the line. So that's what we're talking about when philosophers are using the word vagueness. So I'm just going to call it philosophical vagueness, specifically about borderline cases as opposed to just the ordinary use of vagueness, which is just unclear. Now, this helps for critical thinking cases because some people will call a word or concept into question just because it's philosophically vague, because there's no borderline cases. They say, where do you draw the line? And this matters in legal cases, and so we have to kind of arbitrarily just make lines. So, when does someone truly become an adult? It's vague. It's kind of like at what point does someone truly count as bald, right? There is no specific line at which someone counts as an adult. So we just have to make a line, 18, and that's just how it is. Um, think of how this applies in the case of gender. So I'm going to get a little more controversial here, but people will point out like very strongly, like terms like male or female or a man or a woman are like there's no place to draw the line. And now that's true, but notice almost all terms are like that. Words like bald, tall, adult, city, mountain, right? All of these terms are philosophically vague. So that's actually nothing special about, let's say, male or female or man or woman. So I just want to help open your minds to seeing how actually nearly all of our words are philosophically vague. And for anything, it's actually hard to draw a line. Not just in gender, which is something that's a little more um, controversial these days, but pretty much anything. So, okay, that could create some discussion questions, but we could talk about that in the Zoom session.